politics, culture, chaos. This is your daily dose of sanity. The Rich Zeoli podcast starts now.
So Barack Obama comes out against voter ID, even though he actually had to show his ID to vote for Barack Obama. It's just another amazing day of hypocrisy, and the dreaded kill switch in cars is officially dead. We'll talk about it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Just a few moments ago, the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, along with the President of the United States, announcing that they are rolling back the Obama-era findings that carbon was terrible. All those stupid climate change rules and regulations that Obama and Biden put into place, well, they are officially gone, which is great. Including, you know that stupid thing that when you get to a red light and your engine shuts off? And there's a way you have to override it, but it's annoying to do, and not everybody can always figure it out. But yeah, that's gone. And I for one, particularly hate that. I hate that, I think, more than anything. It drives me crazy. Because we'll be at a light on a hot day, and then all of a sudden the air conditioning just shuts off. And you got kids in the car, and it's hot. And then if you stop at a store and you got to run out, then the car goes out, and you're not supposed to leave kids in a hot car because that's bad, or a dog in a hot car, and that's bad, but you can't leave the engine running because that's bad. And then in the winter now, I've noticed that the engine's been shutting off whenever you get to a red light, and then all of a sudden you're freaking freezing again. So the administrator just announced that that's gone. Goodbye to that. Good riddance. There is in some vehicles a way to override it, but it's not easy to figure out, like I said, and it doesn't matter. It shouldn't be there in the first place. You want to shut your engine off when you get to a red light, shut your freaking engine off. I don't really care. But don't make mine shut off automatically to comply with some stupid EPA mandate about saving emissions, because it's nonsense. So great news on that. We did tell you about that earlier in the week when the story came out that they were going to officially do it, and now it is officially done. The rollback on forcing people to buy green cars, the color green, fine, which obviously I'm a big fan of the color green. That's fine. But no, electric vehicle mandates gone. They've been sitting on lots. People haven't been buying them. You want to buy one, they said, go buy one. Knock yourself out. You want to buy an electric car? Go ahead. You want to buy a hybrid? Whatever you want. Buy whatever you want. But no longer forcing you, and most importantly, no longer forcing auto manufacturers to come up with this stupid formula where they have to account for the number of gas-powered cars that are sold, and then they have to compensate for the number of non-gas powered cars that aren't sold, which forced them to make cars that nobody wanted. And dealers were having these things just sit on lots. And the whole thing was a gigantic economic mess, costing billions of dollars in losses to the automobile industry. So good riddance to all of that. Thank God. Great job by Administrator Zeldin and President Trump following through on their promise on that, to get rid of that, which is what they've done. So excellent. Now, voter ID, the SAVE Act officially passed the House of Representatives yesterday. This is the Save America Act, requiring you to show ID to vote in federal elections. And of course, Democrats are against it because it's very hard to get an ID when you're dead. I'm not saying it's impossible. And God knows people in Jersey have done it, and they will continue to do it. And no doubt about it. It's just an extra step when you're already dead to get the ID. Makes it a little more complicated. You got to have a guy, got to know a guy, and blah, 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 blah. But if you're alive and you need an ID, very easy to get one because pretty much everyone has one. I mean, like everyone has one. And if you don't have one, then you're really missing out on that, because it's something that my desk is going crazy. It's something that you really need in this day and age. If you want to drive a car, get on an airplane, do anything, for example, you need an ID. And you can get one if you're black, you can get one if you're white, you can get one if you're a man, you can get one if you're a woman. The Democrats tried to say at first that it was racist and Jim Crow 2.0. That didn't work because people were like, stop it. If black people have IDs too. They're able to get one. They're not morons. They can get an ID just like everybody else. They drive cars, they take trips, they go on airplanes, they can get one. And then they tried to turn around and say that it was sexist. A super secret, double secret probation plot to repeal the 19th Amendment. Except the problem with that is that women get IDs all the time too. Yes, even when they're married, they still find a way to get an identification. Sometimes they have to do things like change their name. They don't have to, but if they want to, then they go to the process of changing their name. And then to get real ID, which now every American needs to get on an airplane, you have to show that you were born in the United States or that you were born someplace and you have the right to legally work in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, everybody has to get a real ID. If you don't, you got to pay a VIG, a surcharge to the government. So that was all nonsense. But today, Barack Obama, and we have the tweet for you, came out officially against the SAVE Act, saying, don't do this. Don't do this. Vote no on the SAVE Act, and calling on Democrats in the Senate to vote no. And I think only one Democrat in the House crossed the aisle to vote to pass this. But here's a famous clip going around the internet today. It was retweeted by the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and it shows Barack Obama actually showing his ID to vote for a man named Barack Obama.
Oh, you're right. Hold on. I got my driver's license. Here you go.
See that? He showed ID and he voted for Barack Obama. And he is black, by the way. He's the first black president. You may have read that in the history books and everything like that. So here's a black man voting for a black man to be president of the United States himself and showing ID to do it. Go figure. Imagine that. And then all those people over the years, in the 8 years that he was president, who would come to see him at the White House, all had to show ID. In other words, at no point during Obama's presidency did he turn around and say, the White House is now an ID-free zone. Okay? We've decided it's racist. We've decided it's sexist. So no showing ID. Here at the White House, you come visit me, just tell them who you are. Just tell the Secret Service who you are, and that's good enough. All right? You don't even need to know it from your mom. All right? Do you want to come visit? That's fine. We're not going to require that. In fact, I'm going to sign an executive order saying that in any government building, any federal government building that's under the executive branch, no ID necessary. All right? So don't worry about it. But he actually did do something called Obamacare, which required you to show ID in order to sign up for Obamacare. And right, there's that too. And then, you have to show ID to take part in that whole, but I mean, besides all that, you could understand why it's so racist and sexist. Not racist and sexist enough for him to come out and say, well, I'm president. No one needs ID. At no point did he turn around to the TSA and say, enough with this showing ID crap at the airports. All right. It's not fair to people. How dare you be so racist and sexist with only white males flying on airplanes? I'm hereby signing an executive order today. The TSA is strictly forbidden from asking you to show ID. However, they will still bust your chops if you try to bring a bottle of water through the security checkpoint, because we want you to go buy a bottle of water for $19, because big water obviously has to win. But he didn't do that in all the years he was president. Nope. Still had to show an ID, get on an airplane, go to a government building, sign up for Obamacare, go visit him in the White House, all those things. Now it's suddenly somehow racist and sexist to do all those things that he never stopped anyone from doing. I'm just pointing that out because I think it needs to be pointed out. Here's Congressman Chip Roy. He was the sponsor of the bill. To all those who are against the bill.
Hey everybody, it's Chip Roy from Texas 21, and I'm outside of the House of Representatives, outside of the U.S. Capitol, where we just passed the Save America Act. Simple legislation, as you know, to guarantee that only American citizens vote in American elections and that we present voter ID at the polls. It was on a bipartisan basis. We had a Democrat join us, so now it heads to the Senate. So the question now is whether the Senate will take it up. And I hope they will take it up, but not just take it up. take it up and press the rules of the Senate to force members of the Senate onto the floor and to debate. And go ahead and tell the American people why you don't support common sense legislation, or maybe you do. We've already had Senator Fetterman, a Democrat, say, hey, I don't have a problem with voter ID. So let's put it on the floor of the Senate. Force the debate. I want to thank Senator Mike Lee, my fellow sponsor in the Senate. I introduced the bill in the House. I want to thank Brian Stile, the chairman, Speaker Mike Johnson, Leader Steve Scalise, our entire team. And I really hope that the Senate will move this bill. It's important for the United States. Let's get it done.
Great. It's a wonderful thing. Good. I mean, there's no problem with it. You know why I have no problem with it? I'll tell you why. All right. Because I've heard the argument that voting is a constitutional right. So stop making the driving argument. You don't have a constitutional right to drive a car, which is true. You don't. There's nothing in the Bill of Rights about it. And it's not because they didn't have cars back then. It's just, it's not a constitutional right. It is considered to be a privilege to drive an automobile. However, last time I checked the Constitution, and I'm no expert, but I do believe there's a Second Amendment in there. And in that Second Amendment is something to do with guns. And in that, it doesn't say anything about having to show ID. Yet, yesterday, when I went to Bob's little sports shop to pick up my guns, which includes a Smith & Wesson 9mm and a Winchester 12-gauge shotgun, I had to show my driver's license, even though they know who I am. They know who I am at Bob's Little Sports Shop. They're my sponsor. I still had to show my ID. So in order for me to exercise my Second Amendment rights, I had to show my government-issued ID. And here's the other kicker to all this. I had to show it like 9 times. I had to show it when I went to buy it. I had to show it when I wanted to go into the shooting range. I had to show it when I filled out the paperwork. I had to show it online when I did my initial background check with my local police department. Then I had to go to an identity place to do my fingerprints in order to get my permit to be able to purchase a firearm. And guess what I had to show them? My ID. That's right. In order for them to take my fingerprints, I had to show ID to do that. Amazing. I know. So in order for me to exercise my Second Amendment rights, I had to show my government-issued ID. I know what you're saying. Okay, but do black people own guns in this country? Why, yes, they do. Millions of them. I know. It's amazing. They also have to show ID. Do women own guns? Yes, they do. Millions and millions of them. And they also have to show their ID. And there's nothing around all of these Democrats and liberals who've ever turned around and said, you know what? If this ID thing is so racist and sexist, why are we making people show them to buy guns? Doesn't seem very fair. Seems like only white males would have guns. That doesn't sound fair. That doesn't sound okay. I mean, don't women have to defend themselves from all this toxic masculinity out there? Don't black men have to defend themselves from all those white justice that white males, particularly those who go fishing, wear Cabela's hats? You know, they're the greatest threat to America because every day is January 6th. Live life like every day is January 6th if you're on the left. The high holy day of the left, of course. So then get rid of the ID requirement for that so that all these people can protect themselves from these toxic white males. I think it makes perfect sense. And then they could start doing other things too. Driving cars, getting on airplanes, you know, the stuff that men get to do, white males only get to do. Like the last time I took a trip and my wife had to drive and meet me there, but she didn't have a license, so she had to take an Uber to do, but she had to use a fake name, her friend's Uber account because she doesn't have ID, obviously. So anyway, but I loved it. It was glorious. The whole plane ride was a bunch of white guys just drinking on the plane. Like it was some sort of like, 1950s office environment. Great stuff. Now, I guess it's all going to change. It's the dumbest argument I've ever heard in my life. And it's also the kind of thing, and we reported this too, it's popular. Voter ID is popular with Democrats, Republicans, black people, brown people, orange people, yellow people, purple people, people who don't have any color whatsoever, people who are truly colorless. It's popular with men. It's popular with women. It's popular with people who are non-binary, because I guess that's a thing. Popular with everybody, Democrats and Republicans too. It's just not popular with Democrat voters. It's about railing against Trump. Everything. They can't find common ground with the guy on anything. So even if it's popular within their own party, it doesn't matter. They're not going to have a rare moment of bipartisanship and say, For years, we've been screaming about we got to make sure that we protect democracy. And you protect democracy by making sure that only people that vote are people that are allowed to vote, and that somebody doesn't steal your identity and goes to vote. Because that's not democracy, as I understand it, even though we are a constitutional republic, but you get the point. If you're saying save democracy, and I go and I vote, and they're like, wait a second, aren't you that handsome guy on radio and television? And I'm like, no, I'm not. My name is John Jones. I'm here to vote in the Democrat primary because I want to make sure that the craziest candidate wins to lose the general election. That doesn't sound okay to me. Should it sound okay to you? No, of course not. So if you're really about saving democracy, then you should want to make sure that the people who vote are who they say they are. It's, again, not that complicated. It protects everybody. But they're just about opposing Trump on everything. And I know that dead people vote because I grew up in New Jersey, and New Jersey politics was my life. It was my life before I got into radio and broadcasting. And I told you that great joke that the late Governor Brendan Byrne used to make, Democrat, who said, when I die, I want to be buried in Hudson County or Camden County so I can remain active in politics. Dead people voting is a long Philadelphia tradition as well. They vote and they're dead and they find a way. Because nothing should ever hold you back in life, not even death. You want to achieve the American dream, don't let a little thing like death stand in your way. Please. Okay, that's the big story of the hour, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. Venaria, veneriadental.com. My buddy, my friend, and the master of dental implants, Dr. Mike Veneria, 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. So now that the SAVE Act heads to the Senate, where again, the only sane Democrat who will vote for it is John Fetterman, and that's it. He'll be the only one. And you might even have some Republicans that vote against it, like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. They may vote against it because they're all in on this narrative right now of, well, why should women who get married have to show who they are? But that also doesn't make any sense, because we make married women, if they choose to change their name, update their documents all of the time when it comes to all of these matters across the board. What I'm saying is, if it's so hard to vote for married women, then we shouldn't make married women have to show identification for anything. We just shouldn't make women have to show ID for anything, or cut the crap and realize that they're not idiots and they can figure it out. All right? And just stop with this and move on to some other outrage. Will it pass the Senate? Yes. Will it have the requisite number of votes necessary among Democrats? No, just one. But that's all that we need is John Fetterman, just to do what he does. Yesterday on Capitol Hill, there was a lot of reaction to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who testified on Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I have to be honest with you, and I've had this conversation with some other people. The Jeffrey Epstein stuff, I could do every show on it for the entire show every day and talk about nothing else. There's that much information out there, and there are plenty of podcasts out there that are doing just that. It's just not something that I feel the need to do. I've talked about it at length. I've talked about it many times. I want the truth to come out. I want the transparency to come out. I want people who were bad to be held accountable. I don't care how rich and powerful they were. I don't think we're ever going to know the truth about Jeffrey Epstein fully, because I have said before, and I'll say it again, Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset. So he was bringing people to his island to put them in compromising positions so that the United States of America could get their way with other nations around the world. I've always maintained that. I will believe that until I have reason not to believe that. But as more information comes out, it seems to prove that to be the case. That said, I've also said repeatedly that I think Pam Bondi blew it big time when she brought all those MAGA influencers to the White House early on in the president's term, handed out binders, said she had the list on her desk. It was all coming out. Blew it. Total PR disaster. And it was a error of their own making. I also told you how this week it was reported that President Trump apparently was the guy that told the Palm Beach police about what a scumbag Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell really were and warn them. And there's a piece today by David Marcus on foxnews.com, an opinion piece. Trump may turn out to be the whistleblower here in all of this. And like I said the other day, I know it's a cliche, but it may turn out to be that the whole thing was 4D chess, as he was forcing the Democrats to finally push the issue. And lo and behold, maybe he'll turn out to be the savior. I don't know. What I do know is what's right in front of me, which is more promises. So Nancy Mace saying that people are going to be shocked by some of the names that she's seen in the Epstein files. And I think we're all waiting for those names to come out. So this happened after Pam Bondi's testimony yesterday. Take a listen.
But you would be shocked, Pierce, that some of the names that I have seen that came across the DOJ in emails that the DOJ is protecting. And we're talking about people on both sides of the aisle. We're talking about famous people, rich people, people in power, prime ministers, former presidents, et cetera, media personalities that are named in these files. And that's why I say this is going to go down as the greatest cover-up, one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. And I don't believe the girls are actually going to see justice, which is why it's going to be incumbent upon people like Democrat Ro Khanna, Republican Thomas Massie. I'm a Republican myself who's willing to name some of those names in our committee work, on the floor of the House, whatever it takes, because this kind of thing cannot continue to go on. I want to give the next girl hope that when she comes forward, she won't be shamed. Her life won't be smeared in the Daily Mail or whatever the next press, is going to do. What they do to female victims and to children is disgusting because they're protecting their rich and powerful friends. But you'd be surprised, shocked even at some of the names in the file.
Okay, well then, I will be shocked if any of those names actually come out. I'll be honest with you. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked. And when they do, great. But until then, I have a lot of other things to talk about as well. It's not that I'm trying to evade the conversation. I just don't believe that we're ever going to know the full truth about this because of the fact that he was an intelligence asset. And there are powerful countries, not just people, but nations that we're dealing with here. And it goes well and above the UK. And, I will be convinced of that for a very, very long time. But we'll see what happens. Here's a little bit of the back and forth yesterday between the Attorney General Pam Bondi and Chip Roy on Capitol Hill. Take a listen.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Texas.
And a little flexibility on the time. I appreciate the chairman. Madam Attorney General, am I correct that under your leadership, the Department of Justice has prosecuted cases of non-citizen voting? So it's false, as some of my Democratic colleagues have claimed, that it doesn't happen.
Yes.
I ask that today because we're voting on the Save America Act today to enact common sense policies to ensure only American citizens vote in American elections and enact federal voter ID laws. But it's true, for example, that in just this month, a federal grand jury in Newark indicted two men with illegally voting in federal election and making false statements. Mohammed Mazammel and Mohammed Shakil were non-citizens at the time they registered to vote. It happens regularly, and you're prosecuting those crimes, correct?
Yes.
But does that prosecution of those criminals overturn their previously cast votes?
That's all pending.
But it does not overturn votes that they've cast, right? So passing the Save America Act would help deal with that problem.
Yes, Congressman.
Second question. As Attorney General, you're in charge of the Executive Office of Immigration Review, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
The Biden-Mayorkas regime caused the immigration court case backlog to explode, correct?
Explode.
Does that sound about right that in September of 2020, 4 months before President Biden took office, there was a backlog of 1.5 million cases, but by the time President Biden left office, the backlog reached nearly 4.2 million cases?
It sounds about right, but I don't have the exact numbers.
It would be accurate to say that most individuals who file for asylum have a meritless or fraudulent claim?
Most. I don't have the numbers.
Okay, let's jump in here for a second. So he's obviously covering a lot of different areas, not just Epstein, clearly, but talking about the Save America Act, obviously talking about the illegal immigration aspect of all this as well. And it was an explosive day on Capitol Hill. What can I tell you? I think whatever Pam Bondi and the problems that she created by bringing those influencers to the White House and those binders and everything else is the reason why you're going to have people on social media continuing to push theory after theory. But there are a lot of other things that the Justice Department is clearly working on. I just, if I were you, would not get my hopes up and hold my breath that there's going to be real justice. I also don't think we're ever going to see Bill Clinton locked up or the Clintons locked up or any of the other stuff. Again, I'm only telling you that because I always tell you the truth and how I believe in these things and how I feel these things. And that's how that goes. All right. Now, switching gears to something else too, which is the latest, most embarrassing moment for Gavin Newsom in his life. As Gavin Newsom, who is the walking, talking version of American Psycho, meets a Ken doll. That was a great line, which was said by Scott Bessent, Secretary of Commerce. So his wife pushes him out of the way yesterday at a press conference and then begins to immediately take over the event and then starts lecturing the press. Here we go.
No, we just find it incredulous that we have Planned Parenthood here, and women are 51% of the population, and the majority of the questions, all of these questions, have really been about other issues. So it's just fascinating. You have this incredible women's caucus and all these allies, and you're not asking about it. And this happens over and over and over and over again. You wonder why we have such a horrific war on women in this country, and that these guys are getting away with it, because you don't seem to care. So I just offer that with love.
This is the worst Barbie sequel I've ever seen. This is really bad. This is where Barbie takes over, shoves Ken aside. But the good news is that, I mean, this Ken doll is just as feckless as the real Ken doll, meaning that he doesn't have a penis, like the real Ken doll doesn't have a penis. And
I don't know if you want me to comment on that. Nope.
No, it's fine. It's just, it's obvious that he's a eunuch. Like the Ken doll is a eunuch. I mean, there's no junk there. That's all I'm saying, you know?
So,
but look, it's Barbie and Ken, and she's all in pink, and he's just standing there like a doofus.
Does she normally just watch his press conferences, and she's so mad because the reporters are asking about news and newsworthy events and not what they're on site for, and this is finally her chance to push Gavin aside? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I'd like to lecture you. We only like questions that we like, okay? I only want you, the media, to ask us questions that we like, okay? All right? So we're always lecturing about the First Amendment and the press and how Trump's attacking the press and freedom, but we would prefer it if you would just ask the questions that we'd like you to ask, okay? Could you do that for us, please? Could you do that? Thanks. And my husband's going to stand here like a big dummy and stand in the back. And this is called Barbie 2, The Revenge. Like Jaws 2, The Revenge. And he's the chum in the water with that beautiful coiffed hair. Because really, whenever you talk about Gavin Newsom, you really should cite the Vanity Fair article. And can we just get this out of the way? He's strikingly handsome. Well, that's what they said in the Vanity Fair article. I particularly don't see it myself, but Jennifer Newsom, on the other hand, seems to me to be a little bit out of his league. I'm just saying. And you've seen her in real life, right?
I have.
And
I will say that Gavin Newsom has littered the swipe right highway with a lot of very beautiful people. There's the whatever he's gone through in his dating life, it was just A-list, great-looking women, start to finish. Every person that he was ever with, and she was extra striking. Yeah.
Would you say charming, narcissistic psycho?
Well, not any more than any other actress I've ever met. Sort of
I meant him.
On the average.
Like, he's the charming, narcissistic psycho who can charm all these women and get them to do his bidding and make them believe that he's actually a decent guy. Because this is not his first wife.
Correct. And I guess I don't know that he's lying about it. I think it's much more of like hey, I'm a narcissistic psycho. Like, and if you want to ride this thing all the way to the presidency with me, here we go, baby. Like, I don't get the feeling that the women that he was with didn't understand what they were in for.
He does have a way of charming people and charming the media into doing his bidding as well. Do you remember last week he came out with his high-speed train to nowhere, and he actually stood in front of cargo trains, cargo train cars. And he stood by tracks and cargo train cars, and he said, this is the beginning of our high-speed rail line. And we all watched that and said, but that doesn't look like a fast train. It looks like the kind of train that goes 4 miles an hour and kids jump on the back of it and then go like ride their bikes really fast by holding onto the bed. It doesn't look like a high-speed train. But he did that. And I'm bringing this up because he's going to run for president, obviously. We have another presidential candidate in the news today as well on the East Coast version of Gavin Newsom. But I wanted to share this, this local media report with you because it really does show you how the press loves this guy, not just the glowing Vanity Fair piece, but how they will go along with his lies and his distortion and the spin. But before I play that, let me just tell you that, Dr. Mike Veneria is such a great guy and a friend. And not just my friend and dentist, he is the master of dental implants. That's who he is. What makes him so great? Just ask all of the people that I've sent there who have reached out to me to say, thank you, Rich. All these other dentists' office, these guys are obsessed with cost. These chain dental offices out there, not Dr. Mike Veneria. With him, it's about care. It's about compassion. That's why for 12 consecutive years, other dentists have sent their patients to Dr. Mike. They're putting their name on the line for Dr. Mike Veneria, and they're doing it because he's the best at what he does. So he's going to make them look good. And that's what I want for you. I want you to look good and get your beautiful smile. So reach out to Dr. Mike today by going to veneriadental.com, VANARIA, veneriadental.com. Mama Zeoli discovered him for our family, and Mama Zeoli, she never would steer you wrong because Mama Zeoli is wise and loving and caring. And if Dr. Mike will take great care of her, and I send my kids to Dr. Mike, and he gave my wife a beautiful smile upgrade last year, then you're in great hands with my guy and the undisputed master of dental implants, Dr. Mike Veneria, veneriadental.com. Oh, did we have an issue where we had to reboot the YouTube stream? I'm seeing some of the comments now.
Yeah, it got it started to stutter. Every time I mess around with Rumble, it always messes up the primary stream. That was my fault. I shouldn't have been trying to do too much.
Nah, you know what? You excel and exceed. That's why you're not Matt DeSantis.
Don't do wheelies.
See, Chris Eppolito was asking the question of whether or not you are like DeSantis and screwing up. I want to defend you. DeSantis wouldn't have tried to do something new, whereas you did.
I'm so glad that I'm above Matt DeSantis in the technological realm that we are.
Yes. And I want you to know that. All right. Your mistake was trying too much, doing too much, and trying too hard.
Wait, can I real quick, Matt DeSantis story? We were doing a live broadcast before one of the debates for the Republican, and the thing wasn't working. It ended up the unit was broken, had to be sent back. And I called Matt DeSantis because he used to do a lot of those, and I said, "Hey Matt, what do I do to try to troubleshoot this?" And he was like, "Have you turned it off and turned it on again?" I said, "Matt, I need you to know that if your phone rings and it's me calling you, I promise you I have tried turning it off and turning it on again. We can just skip that question in the future."
Fair enough. That's understandable.
Love that kid.
No, he's the best. We love DeSantis, obviously. We wouldn't joke around if we didn't. That's how we roll. We joke and we kid because we care. If we don't make jokes, it means we probably don't like you very much. And I'm going to take that as why some of you make jokes about me on the YouTube channel. And thank you for subscribing and liking the podcast as well. Tell your friends and tell your enemies if you would. We'd appreciate it very, very much. So here's a gushing news story about Gavin Newsom's high-speed rail to nowhere, which is proof that the media loves this guy. Here we go.
Well, Governor Gavin Newsom announced a major step forward today in California's high-speed rail project.
He says the prep work's done. We're one step closer to laying tracks for the first 119 miles of the railway.
One step closer.
ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh is here now with the latest update.
The last progress announcement on high-speed rail was in January of 2025, in which they began construction of the railhead, which allows for the transportation of supplies. 9 months later, in October 2025, that railhead was completed, and today there was official celebration of that completion.
This is the phase, it's the proof point.
Can't believe what you can't see. Well, you're about to see a lot. We'll be starting.
Stop it. Here's what I see. I see big cargo trains behind him that carry, like, I don't know. Coal. I was going to say coal, but I don't think they have coal in California.
That's why they're empty.
Look at that behind him. Those trains go a maximum of 4 miles an hour. I think my toy Christmas train set goes faster than those trains. My Polar Express toy train set around the Christmas tree goes faster than those trains. But we're supposed to believe that's high-speed rail, Jared. That's what we're supposed to believe with our lying eyes. So we're here to celebrate that we're laying the future to do something in the future. Okay? We're here today to take a victory lap for something that we're going to do down the road at some point. That's like me celebrating my new physique before I've even joined the gym. I'm coming home with my shirtless bod, my belly all hanging out. Be like JB Pritzker coming home and being like wearing like a muscle shirt and spandex and being like, this is my new man bod. All right? Were you working out?
He's like,
no.
Hey, I bought all the stuff. I'm ready now. I now have the tank top.
Yeah.
I'm basically fit. That's the barrier, Rich. The barrier to being fit
Here's
is
my Planet Fitness card right here.
Planet Fatness right now, ready to go.
Got it. All right, let's continue, shall we?
Track laying that starts from here.
Governor Newsom and high-speed rail authorities met in Kern County Tuesday afternoon to celebrate the next phase in California's high-speed rail project. They say track for the first 119 miles of the rail from Bakersfield to Madera will be laid around September.
We have the infrastructure ready
around
to go.
September.
We're in the process of hiring the contractor who's actually going to lay the track. We've ordered all the materials, so they'll start now arriving at the site.
Shouldn't some of these steps have been done years in advance because we anticipated this was going to be built anyways?
There's no question that there have been some delays in the project, but in terms of where we're at today, acquiring 119 miles of right-of-way, I mean, this is land that somebody owned at some point. Once you have the
So we
land,
had to steal it from them.
High-speed rail board member
We had to
Henry
seize
Perea
it,
says materials are arriving and being transported at the site thanks to the completion of the railhead. Construction of that first 119 miles of track, the first operational high-speed rail line in the state, is set to be completed by 2032.
As we are doing that work, we're preparing the remainder of the 171 miles.
That full 171 miles.
Okay, now let's stop it right there. We're celebrating the fact that the guy placed an Amazon.com order. All right. Traintracks.com. That's basically what we're celebrating here in California. Place the train track order, lady. All right. I mean, hasn't been delivered yet, and I still have 30 days to cancel. But I did pay, and we have a 90-day return period, but we placed the order. That's huge. Okay. Shouldn't that have been placed years ago? Why don't you not worry about that? We had to seize all this land using eminent domain and take people's private property from them in order to do that. That doesn't even make the story. Like, that doesn't even make the news piece about this. Again, because this is all about making Gavin Newsom look good. That's the whole point. Everything about what they do with Gavin Newsom is about making him look good for 2028. On the East Coast of the United States, there's another train-obsessed governor. This one is Governor Mikie Sherrill. And as you know, all week, we've been talking about her suing the Trump administration over the Gateway Tunnel project. So you got choo-choo train Newsom on the left coast, and you got choo-choo train Mikie on the right coast. Okay, both battling over choo-choo trains. Difference, though, is that Gavin Newsom has already blown billions and billions of dollars on his high-speed train to nowhere. Mikie Sherrill is fighting the Trump administration over the Gateway Tunnel project versus trying to work with him. And because she's running for president of the United States, she chose yesterday to stand up and sign legislation that would once again block New Jersey from cooperating with ICE. So just as proof to you that she's running for president of the United States of America, and you make no doubt about it, cut number 7.
First, I'm signing an executive order to ban ICE from launching actions from any state property. That means no ICE staging areas, no processing locations, no operating bases. No federal civil immigration actions run from any state grounds. Not our parks, not our roadways, not our buildings.
Why is she doing all these things? She's doing all these things to fight Donald Trump because she's bored with being governor of New Jersey and she wants to run for president. And she's certainly not going to let all these other people get all the attention that they're doing right now by fighting Donald Trump. So even though she's only been on the job for a couple of weeks, she's bored out of her freaking mind. Here's a news story about Mikie Sherrill and some of the other things that she's done. Signs an order to limit immigration agents on state property and is creating a database whereby you can take pictures of ICE agents and upload those pictures to the database. All right. This is Governor Mikie Sherrill's latest efforts now to fight the Trump administration. So there you go. So and she's turning around and saying to people, make sure that if you see them doing something, you document it. This is the goal of running for president. You have to be against Trump on literally everything. That's what Governor Gavin Newsom's doing. It's what Governor Mikie Sherrill's doing. That's what J.B. Pritzker's doing. It's what all these guys were doing. It's the same exact thing. And it's all part of the reality of the situation, which is that it's not about cooperation. It's not about public safety. It's certainly not about, say, securing the vote or going after illegal immigrants who are criminals. And many of them are. In fact, as Caroline Levitt broke down for us, a lot of these people who have been arrested, the overwhelming majority, are actually, like really bad people.
I don't see that one, Rich. I'm sorry.
Oh, I got two. I'm sorry.
Oh, here it is. I'm sorry.
Now that's a Matt DeSantis move because we can't even hear her. All right, now you're channeling DeSantis. That's all right. Now you're morphing into Matt DeSantis. Well, take my word for it when I tell you that Caroline Levitt says these are some bad, bad people. All right. Take my word for it, and we'll address whatever technical issue we have going on.
I have no idea.
In the meantime, that's it's we're doing a live show here.
I can see her. I can't hear her. I don't know. Weird.
But I can read lips, and I read exactly what she's saying right there. So while we're doing that, let me tell you about Emmons Roofing and Siding, because winter's here, warms up a little bit. But the real problem is as all that ice and snow starts melting on your roof, if you got any leaks anywhere, it's going right inside. And if you've got leaky windows, if your siding is leaking, anywhere there's problems like that, it's going to cause you even bigger problems and cost you more money. So what you want to do is go to emmonsroofing.com right now and reach out to my great friends at Emmons Roofing. Look, it's all about the lifetime warranty of the Owens Corning shingle, the best in the business. There's nothing like it out there. And with Emmons, you get a lifetime warranty on the Owens Corning shingle, not just on the material, but also on the workmanship. That's right, the workmanship as well. So you're in great hands. Would I use them in my home if I didn't believe in them? Well, no. But how do you know that I actually use them? Because they're literally at my house today. The kids' bathroom project will be finished tomorrow. And then I can't wait to show you the pictures. It looks absolutely beautiful because Emmons also does kitchen and bathroom remodeling as well. So trust the team that I've trusted for over 12 years in 2 different homes, and that's emmonsroofing.com. They serve our entire region, and they're going to take great care of you, and you'll get that lifetime warranty on the roof. Business, residential, commercial, emmonsroofing.com. Make sure you tell them I sent you. Okay, please do that. That's very, very important to do.
I've seen this CBS report floating around.
Oh, there we go.
There's a lot of liberal talking heads and pundits and Democrat elected politicians who think that this single story and these statistics and the way they are painted is somehow a shot at this administration. It is not. And let me correct the record. Number one, the Trump administration has been clear from day one that any illegal alien present in this country is subject to deportation. However, the priority, of course, is going after the convicted criminals, the worst of the worst, the murderers, the pedophiles, the rapists in this country. Interestingly, in the CBS story, what the Democrat talking heads on television are not saying is this line. Nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past year had criminal charges or convictions. And among that population, the majority of the criminal charges or convictions are for nonviolent crimes. Oh, well, what are nonviolent crimes, you ask? This has coincided with what DHS has been saying all along, that approximately 70% of illegal aliens arrested under President Trump have pending criminal charges and or prior convictions. And these so-called nonviolent crimes, drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, and human smuggling, just to name a few.
Just to name a few, all right? Just to name a few of the things that these bad people have done that Mikie Sherrill wants you to block or take pictures of, I should say, if you see them. And who Mikie Sherrill, as governor of New Jersey, wants to make sure not helping those agents go after those kind of bad people. Because it's about fighting Donald Trump. That's what it is about. That is the entire point, the whole point of all of this. And look, I think about this now in the context of a couple of other things too. What if she's wrong? And this actually isn't about going after criminals. Like, what if I'm wrong in my assessment that maybe there's a deeper plot here? Have you thought about that? Like, what if we know that there's a secret ploy to obviously roll back the 19th Amendment to the Constitution? We don't want the broads voting or driving, just saying. But what if it's also about breaking up interracial marriages? Have you thought about that? No, I mean, have you? Have you thought about that? Of course you haven't, because you have a brain. But pretend you didn't, all right? Pretend you didn't have a brain and your job was to go on television and to just say crazy stuff that has no bearing in reality, no basis whatsoever. Also pretend your name was actually Karen Johnson. She decided it would sound a lot cooler if you went by Whoopi, even though that's named after a cushion that you put under your butt cheeks to make people think that, but you think it sounds better. And you work for ABC News, which the parent company Disney and their parent company China will slap a copyright claim on us if we play this clip. However, in the public interest, I want you to know the kind of stuff that they're peddling out there to millions of dozens of idiots who are watching The View at home during daytime television because they walk into a place that has it on the television. There are dozens of them, Jared. There are dozens of them. One of the greatest lines in Arrested Development ever. I mean, truly, I miss that show so much. Don't you think that was one of the greatest shows ever?
I do. Absolutely. I think that it also holds up really well. Like I get stuck in things you didn't notice when you watched Arrested Development, right? Like if you guys didn't watch it, a guy loses his hand. Okay. There are jokes for 3 seasons getting ready for that joke. Did you know that, Rich? Like
I did not know that.
There's a hand chair and he loses it and he finds it and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I never thought I could miss a hand so much," before he loses his hand. Like there's so many great jokes. It's such a great show.
Then they did the Netflix season, but it was not as good, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Don't waste your time,
Yeah, I think I hate when they do that. I just sometimes wish they would just let it be.
Well, there's a new Scrubs coming on. I'm like, just guys, it was great. Let it go. Let it be. I don't need
let it go.
58-year-old intern, anymore. Like we can all move on. It's fine. No, I'm like bated breath. I don't know if you're going to call for Whoopi or not. I don't know if we're going to try the copyright or not. So I keep.
Well, I believe this is in the public interest to know how they are trying to brainwash dozens of people out there with this twisted conspiracy theory of what Donald Trump is really up to.
All of you. Talking about you, it's us. He's not going to say, "Oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported." No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
He's also,
So wait. I just want to make sure I got that straight. So Donald Trump's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone. I don't know. What the hell is she talking about? Do you even understand that? Donald Trump is going to deport you and put the white guy with somebody else. Oh, I get it. So he's going to redistribute the white spouses. Oh, okay. So if you're a white woman and you're married to a guy who's not white, this whole thing about immigration is secretly about ending interracial marriage. So is he going to deport black people too? Like, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to figure that part of it out.
Can I ask what information Whoopi Goldberg would have had access to? What source does she have? Because I think that listen, if I had a newspaper, I might run a story about that. Like, that seems like a really big story, if true. I don't know exactly how Whoopi got her information.
So you don't think there's a whistleblower who might call up and be like, is this Karen Johnson, aka Whoopi Goldberg?
She's a Karen.
I need you to know something. You never knew that?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume
I need you to know that this is all about ending Loving v. Virginia, the Supreme Court case that allowed interracial marriage. What the president's going to do is start deporting people and then redistributing the white women to other white guys who can't find suitable women themselves. In other words, all those beta males for Kamala who didn't vote for him, he's going to just give them white women. And that's what this is all about. And I can't give you my name, but you can call me.
I can give you the evidence, but you can't share that evidence with any legitimate person. Just you and I. They're the only people that can know about this. Close loop.
Whoopi, there are many people who would kill for this information.
Karen.
But you need to know that all those beta males for Kamala who cannot simply get those guys need women. President Trump's going to deliver by giving them white women once he breaks up interracial marriage in this country. It sounds like a great plan. Can I write about this? Can I talk about it? You can't use my name, Whoopi. You can't use my name. So yes, the next people he's going to start deporting are black people so that he can then redistribute the white women or something. This is the insanity of the times we're living in. I don't know what else to tell you. All I do know, though, is that in reality world, we know that things like, well, for example, when you look at what's happening with immigration and customs enforcement and everything else, you know that it's popular with people. You know that just like the SAVE Act is popular with people. You know these things because you are a smart person and you know that people want criminals off the streets. Donald Trump ran on this and he won every swing state, the popular vote and the general vote. He won these things. He ran on voter ID and he won. The voter ID is overwhelmingly popular with people. These are all the things that Donald Trump promised and he's delivering on, and the Democrats hate him for doing so. And because we're talking about white women, no show would be complete unless we had a crazy one for you.
Hey, where are the white women at?
This is a teacher who believes right now no human is illegal on stolen land. All right. So this woman who put this out on TikTok, and this is her video.
Can help prevent another burst of concerning behaviors for all of our students everywhere is speaking out against what is happening in Minnesota, against ICE in our schools and in our communities, causing mass trauma for our entire school system, for our entire community, for all of our students.
Mass trauma for our students and our communities. No human is illegal. All right. This is a teacher. This is an actual teacher, and Libs of TikTok found this for us. But this is the kind of indoctrination that I mean that's out there right now that we're battling with on a daily basis. And we're battling this indoctrination because you have a lot of people on the left. This is their base. So when you say to yourself, okay, if voter ID is popular, if deporting criminal illegal aliens is popular, Rich, why are these Democrat politicians not embracing these things? There's your answer right there. That woman right there is your answer because she votes in Democrat primaries. And whenever you're dealing with a primary election, if you want to be president of the United States of America, You realize now you have to. You have, it's not a choice. You have to cater to people like her in this day and age. You don't have the luxury right now, and you don't have the luxury at this moment in time of trying to appeal to people who are sensible and rational. Because you got to face other Democrats. You need her vote. But you might say to yourself, okay, but why not be like a moderate centrist and maybe break free from the rest of them? Because you won't make it anywhere out of the primary. There's no chance of that happening. You have to try to win her over if you want to be president, if you want to be the Democrat nominee for president. And that means fighting Trump on all of these issues. I mean, have you heard Josh Shapiro come out in favor of voter ID? No. Josh Shapiro is against an ICE detention facility in his state. He has a chance to maybe come out and be the moderate, reasonable one. He's not going to do that. And Democrat grandstanding is the point. Democrat opposition to Trump on these issues is everything that the Democrat base is looking for. That's why John Fetterman is so unpopular within his own party. And Mikie Sherrill suing over the Gateway Tunnel project and Chuck Schumer leading the lowest low energy chant that I've ever heard in my entire life as they stand there and grandstand about funding for the Gateway Tunnel project. And you might say to yourself, he's a senator, she's the governor, there's another senator there. Why not just set up a meeting? Secretary of Transportation, president, talk about the money, do all these things. Yeah, maybe. And maybe they would deliver on the money. And maybe those shovels would go in the ground. And maybe you'd actually have a tunnel. But then you wouldn't have this chant.
So once again, let's be so loud that that person in the White House, White House will hear us. Let's hear it. Fund Gateway now. 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 Thank you for your great work, everybody. Thank you for your great work, everybody.
I mean, I'm inspired to fund Gateway now. How about you? Are you inspired to fund Gateway now? Fund Gateway now. Fund Gateway now. Thank you, everybody. I'm going back to my crypt now. And I have to make sure I'm out of here before the Jericho. Fund Gateway now.
Fund Gateway now.
There are dozens of us.
Fund Gateway now.
Dozens of you watchers right there. Actually, they're hardworking men and women in hard hats. And you would think that those Democrats would try to work with the president to get those people the jobs. But fighting Trump is the point, whether it's the SAVE Act, whether it's immigration and customs enforcement, whether it's energy, and just wait for the freak out on the rollback of the EPA rules that was announced today by EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. And we'll have more on that for you on tomorrow's show. But just remember this great news, that dreaded switch in your car that will turn off the air conditioning and turn off the heat, it's gone. The rules that you have to buy electric vehicles, gone. The rules that you've got to have these ridiculous standards of fuel mileage that have made cars weaker and less safe, gone. Thanks to this president and the administrator rolling back those dreaded regulations. Today is a great day for less government, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Thank you for listening.
Gateway now. Fund Gateway now.